All right, today we're talking about the top 10 albums of March 2026. It was a solid month for death metal. It was a solid month for thrash metal, heavy metal, all kinds of things. Not a ton of compelling black metal from my point of view, but a couple of great bands. I think what I would say up front is there was a lot of great EP releases, which I didn't consider for this list for various reasons. You should definitely check out the new Bloody Vengeance. I think you should check out the Swedish band Sacrilegious, kind of a cool band. They're still early on what they're doing. The Watcher from Boston had put out their final EP. If you're a fan of traditional doom metal and heavy metal, you should check that out. The first release from Funeral, an EP, just got a vinyl release. Decipher, Egregore, Cultist, Erdrick, Midnatt, Voidstar, Passeisme, well above average bands that deserve to be on this list. I could easily have made a 20-item list this month, but this will have to do. Check everything else out. At number 10, we have Mirror of Deception's Transience. This is the sixth album from the band. This is a doom metal group and one that formed back in 1990. They definitely have a 90s doom metal sound in terms of both British traditional doom and gothic doom in some respect, but this is not like a melodic death doom metal band or anything like that. They kind of have their own sound. It's got a little bit of that Rise Above Records kind of strangeness to it. Big fan of them overall, and you will be too if you're a fan of Solstice, Revelation, and that kind of thing.
Bearing witness to shadows cast,
Protrusion is an Indiana-based death metal band, and one that kind of pulls from both brutal and old school death metal, old school brutal death metal, but not necessarily a Suffocation clone as that might imply for the people who are maybe more indoctrinated into the sound. I compared this band's work to bands like Atrocity from Germany back in the first two albums, or Merciless back on their earlier stuff too. There's sort of a density and an activity to it, which is Pestilence-esque at sometimes and Finnish death metal-esque at others, but it has these interesting brutal vocals that carry the whole thing. At number 8, we have Infectious Pathological Waste. This is the third full-length album from British death metal band Cryptworm. I think with this one they've kind of achieved their major goal of pulling together something which is like a little bit demolic and a little bit kind of gore grind, but pure death metal at the same time. Very much obsessed with its rhythms and not so much on leads, but there's a fair deal of energy put into all of it. There's not a lot of variety. Very much a straightforward old school death metal album in spirit, but it has some modern kind of new old school sounds all over it. Blasart's Deprivatus Christianus Sacris comes in at number 7. This is a Chilean band from Santiago who were better known in the late 2000s for a sound which was centered around something like Crisian or Angel Corpse and that kind of thing, where it was brutal but blackened in that sense. For this return many years later, as they've got a very different sound, and it focuses on kind of some black thrashing elements, some death thrash elements, and generally just picks up the speed and does different things with it while also incorporating a little bit of like dissonant black metal. You can tell their tastes have expanded, and so has their sound, and it's cool to hear. At number 6, we have Aggressive Perfector's second album, Come Creeping Fiends. This is a British heavy metal band, and they sound like one very distinctly in the kind of new wave of British heavy metal, Neat Records kind of sound. Definitely some kind of the Venom growl to it, even kind of a Show No Mercy level of energy, and I think it's awesome. This is a very catchy record. It stuck in mind the whole time I was reviewing it and beyond.
the nameless ones from beyond shall show themselves.
At number 5, we have An Undying Love for a Burning World from Neurosis. This is a very well-known atmospheric sludge metal band who were kind of born out of crust punk and hardcore in the Bay Area, and they made it into their own unique collective over time. They took a long hiatus because one of their main members left for various reasons. Now they've replaced him with Aaron Turner from Sumac and Isis and whatnot. I know him best from Old Man Gloom because and Sumac, those are great bands. Anyway, he fits in really well, obviously, and I don't like everything they've introduced here as a longtime fan, but it still kind of gets a stamp of approval for all that it does and how well it does it.
We've forgotten we are wild, so we suffer. We exist in isolation, so we suffer.
At number 4 is so far one of my favorite heavy metal records of the year in Haneda from Cruel Force. This German band have taken their black thrash metal sound and kind of reduced the black metal part of it down to first wave, and they put together this great speed metal album. It's authentic, it's full of energy, plenty of shredding, just a lot of fun to listen to. It's kind of plenty of riffs. It's evil heavy metal, but it's not black metal. So really a great evolution of their sound and iteration on Dawn of the Axe, which is substantial and even better considered than last time. Every track on this album is great. Voidstar Nocturnal's Nexus Teleport Fracture lands at number 3. For my taste, this is one of the more interesting blackened death metal albums of the year. It is kind of jammed out. It feels like it's born in the rehearsal room. It's got kind of a psychedelic and dissonant quality to it. There's a lot of experimental things happening on this record. We've gotten a lot of really interesting kind of sludge and old school death metal and atmospheric stuff from Costa Rica, but I think this is something kind of in between all of those with its own kind of spirit to it. I'm really interested to hear or see the band live and see how their sound develops on further releases. At number 2, we have the debut album from Trepanner. This is a Peruvian death metal band, and the Consecration of Eternal Impurity is pretty amazing throughout. If you're a fan of Drawn and Quartered, but also Mortem Peru and South American death metal in general, especially the Chilean and Peruvian side of it, you'll appreciate everything this band does. I think it's one of the best death metal records of the year, and one that I'll continue to listen to for the remainder of the year. At number 1, we have Gutvoid's sophomore full-length album, Liminal Shrines. This is their first record for Profane Lore Records, and they've sort of changed the band's dynamic. They've shifted the voice a little bit. They've made some concessions from catchier repetition, but they're also serving this kind of doomed, surrealistic death metal idea, and the way it comes together is impressive. It's just abstract enough to feel surreal, but direct enough to feel old school and a little bit progressive, and the way they've sort of fumigated the old ways and twisted it into this thing has been pretty interesting in its evolution so far. I'm kind of interested to see where they go next, and that's kind of kept me coming back and sort of revisiting this album for its depth and all the interest that it throws around. I could make an argument for many of these records at number 1, but I think this is the one that makes the most sense to stack on top for my own taste. See what you think. Thanks for checking out the top 10 for last month. Go ahead and let me know what your favorites were.